By 17, this guy had 3 companies and 200 employees. Let that sink in.
And at 12 years old, I was cut off financially. My dad told me I had to make my own money. By 17, I had 3 companies, 200 employees, and was a multimillionaire at that time.
But no one talks about the price you pay to be successful and be among the elite ranks.
I went $12.8 million total in debt, and I got everybody paid back.
This guy says you need this delusional mindset. The kind of mindset that Elon Musk had that made him what he is today.
You need to be able to delude yourself, convince yourself of something that doesn't exist yet, and then be able to create what isn't there.
So how do you build that level of success, lose it, and still come back even sharper?
You are watching the Vegas Voices podcast.
So we're in the back of Tony Stark's cave. No, not really. I love...
It's the Bat Cave, right?
I love, the Bat Cave or Tony Stark's or whatever. Those two. I love... what I love about what we do in the podcast is going not behind the fourth wall. We're going behind the fifth wall because this is a studio behind a studio behind another studio. And I chose this location so we could show some content on our guests right now. Andrew Cartwright, entrepreneur, investor, educator, and the mind behind one of the fastest growing business and finance channel on YouTube, which was taken down as we just get in the hoopers.
As they came over and set up.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Became a millionaire at 17, lost over 12 million in the 2008 crash for those
Over 100 million.
Enough. Wow.
Win 12.8 million in debt.
ChatGPT, let's get you correcting that. And then he has started in his business life more than 30 companies, acquired 17, probably more by now.
More, yeah.
Yes, and he believes entrepreneurship is the most powerful vehicle for financial freedom. This is a story of resilience, reinvention, and systems behind the opportunity. Without further ado, we have the reluctant billionaire here, my friend Andrew Cartwright.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. I wonder what episode am I?
That's it, 51, 52?
51 or 52? Yeah,
somewhere along that line, or 53, yes.
Very cool.
We don't take count, but we're going for 100. Everybody knows that in the podcast. So,
Yeah.
Before you were an entrepreneur, who was Andrew as a kid? What shaped the way you see opportunity?
Oh, wow. I think I kind of missed out on my childhood. I really didn't. I've been working ever since I can remember. And at 12 years old, I was cut off financially. My dad told me I had to make my own money. So that was pretty devastating at the time. It was kind of freaked me out. But then I started a business, started selling, and then started selling to Longs and Payless and Macy's, and had a general distribution business from 12 years old to 15. I had that business. I opened up a manufacturer, and I got exclusive rights to 3 different product lines and put a patent in for my first product to patent with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And by 17, I had 3 companies, 200 employees, and was a multimillionaire at that time.
I have a question on this. Mm-hmm. You're 12.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look like an adult, or how did you not get laughed off? If you have to do business, you're selling, you're moving things, you're commanding people.
It's funny. I had a couple of suits. I was an altar boy in church, at the Greek Orthodox Church in Vallejo, California. And I had suits for church. So I just always wore a suit. I guess I was tall enough. They thought I was like 18, just like barely. But it was a stretch, to say the least. And at first it was, on the corner in San Francisco, selling scarves and watches and starting to just sell. And then it moved into retail stores. And by the time I hit retail stores, which was probably a year or 2 later, I was able to, I never thought about it, actually. I just thought about what I had to do.
So what was the main drive? Ambition, necessity, I guess a little bit of hunger?
For me, I think the first challenge was really, I like to provide products to these stores that, like, I provided G-Shock watches, those G-Shock watches, for 65 cents a piece is what I acquired them for. And I sold them to them for like $1.15, and they sold them for $30. So my thing was always cracking the code of what people would buy. Like I was selling G-Shock watches, games, disposable cameras were really hot then. That was like 1980, whatever. And, scarves, I can get scarves, cashmere for, at the time, a little over 90 cents. And they could sell them for like $20 at the time, or $10. So a lot of high profit margin stuff. I met someone who was importing products in from Korea in San Francisco, and she didn't speak English. And that was like kind of the key, is that I really became the front person and the face, and I created my own company. And then I bought directly from her. Her name was Kay. And that relationship, we figured it out, and we both did very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the moment you realized, I'm not normal, I think differently about money and business?
I think part of it was in school. One of the things I did too is I worked in the cafeteria because I earned food, and I worked so hard that Jean, who was my manager, she actually gave me enough food to feed 10 people. So every day I would feed anywhere from 5 to 10 people at my school, because I worked. I showed up in the morning before the teachers did, and I got them, the apple turnovers or cinnamon rolls, coffee, all that stuff. In fact, I used to use that sometimes to negotiate with my teachers, because, you never mess with the guy who's messing with your coffee, jokingly, but I got straight A's. Every once in a while I'd get a B, but school was not really a problem. It was fun. So, but I think just I got to know everybody in the school, and then I started connecting with people. And one of the other things I did was, there was a lot of guys that wanted phone numbers of girls, and there were girls that wanted to give the guys phone numbers. So I actually got the phone numbers from the girls and sold them to the guys for like, I don't know, a couple bucks, $5-10, something like that. So, I had to spend the time to get the number and have the conversation. I think it was worth $5 or $10. They were happy. So, and the girls were happy too, because they wanted to give their phone number up. So it was funny. I learned a lot about people, and I floated to every single different group. So the rockers were in one area. There would be the gangsters in another area. There'd be dancers. I was a break dancer too at the time. There'd be breakers that would be in one area, and then you had your like Bible group, Christians, and I could hang with them. I could hang with everybody. I love everybody, so I just go. I didn't judge, and didn't just people.
That's pretty cool, man. There has to be something very special, like in your DNA somewhere, because people in that situation, like we were talking about 12. Like you either fall down or you get it yourself up, and you got yourself up and got a ton of other people up. So yeah, it's fascinating. I think it has to do with, and I think we've talked about this before, necessity level. You rise to the level of necessity, and there was no going back. So there was no choice. When you're offered no choice, and you back somebody into a corner, they have to come out fighting. So I got backed into a corner. I've been backed into a corner a lot. I bet.
By economies, by litigation, by all kinds of stuff.
I think that's kind of your game, like putting yourself somewhere where there's going to be a wall to be put in.
Yeah, to get over.
So you've built companies across 17 industries or more.
Mm-hmm. More actually now.
What connects all of them? And what's the through line of your entrepreneurial DNA?
So I had an amazing mentor at 15 years old. I'd saved up all the money I had and actually gave it to this guy, Joe Yusuf Kosman. And actually, his whole thing is right there. And I remixed it and put it on a platform I call The Origin of Opportunity. And
is he an author or a course guy?
He's a guy that started a bunch of companies like me. I think now I've created more companies and actually maybe done more than him. I don't know. But basically, I learned how to patent, how to trademark, how to copyright, how to set up business infrastructure, how to set up your bylaws, your organizational chart, your money tree, your workflows, all the different aspects of a business, both legal structure and creating the mold, and then like actually what products to go after. But one thing he said when I was 15 years old that changed my life, and I'll never forget it. And I'll say this, and you probably won't even realize how amazing it is, because it was amazing to me, because it's going to sound so simple. But if you clearly understand the distinction of this, it would change your life. Although most people will hear this and it'll just miss them. But it's one of the cornerstone secrets in business. There's only two things you can do in business. That is it. Everything else is just structure or different things around those two things.
Which are?
There's only two things. You can only deliver a product or a service. That's it. And products, well, I mean, they're all over the place. Everything in this room is a product, right? We have paint, that's a product, but then you have the service of applying the paint to the wall. So from that really changed my life at 15, because to me, everything that had seemed complicated at 15 years old about how business worked and what you did, now I knew the goal. The goal was to put a product or a service in people's hands such that the expenses are lower than the income that comes in. So there's a margin. And then you acquire assets to create either the product or service, like programs or buildings or whatever industry it is. And then it's pretty simple. I do have regrets about how I could have made, a lot more than I've ever made in my life in 6 months. But, it depends on what industry you pick.
Okay.
Because different industries have different multipliers, have different values, and most people chased the wrong industries.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, there's going to be some things that are going to be more valuable than others in people's eyes. But I want to unravel a couple of things that you mentioned. You mentioned that your mentor taught you all these things, patents and structures.
Trademarks, service marks.
Trademarks, etc. You need all those things for business. There has to be some sort of intellect to get it done, right? And then you wrap that up into a very simple framework. It's either a product or a service. Mm-hmm. But then there's the other guys that tell you just think about it and manifest it. So where do you find a coherent, for those that are entrepreneurial out there and they're trying to get ahead in the world and, build a product or a service, how do you congeal all of those things? Yes, there's a lot of complexity. Mm-hmm. There's also simplicity. And then there's also the woo-woo. What's your perspective on that?
I think they're all necessary, right? I think you need the woo-woo kind of delusional aspect of, you need to be able to delude yourself, almost convince yourself of something that doesn't exist yet, right? That's part of it. And then be able to create what isn't there, right? And that's part of that manifestation process. But one key ingredient that is missed in a lot of different components is the fact that you need to take massive action immediately on your ideas, because ideas start to lose their momentum and you lose your passion, and the clarity of those ideas that you had start to lose focus. So as soon as you have it, and the thing is, everybody's I see a lot of people that are afraid to start, fail forward, don't blow all your money on one project, massively do it. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm in tech, in a lot of different tech industries. I'm in legal tech. I have lots of different tech companies that I'm a part of. Dragons and Angels is one of the companies I own, which is a fund. And each fund that we have there is $100 million a piece, right? So tech is super important. But one of the things, if I go and Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? When he bought it, he wanted to move the servers out of Sacramento. Sacramento, I have a place also in San Francisco, not just here, but in Cathedral Hill in San Francisco, to be close to tech. And there are servers in Sacramento, which is about an hour from San Francisco. And he talked to his staff at Twitter, and they said it would take 6 months to move the server. the servers that were there for its wedding. And he was having a meeting with the group. And then, he said, well, I need it done in 6 weeks, or not 6 months. The meeting kept going, and he says, I need it done in 6 days. Right? But I see this because it's the distinction. Most people don't realize what they can really do. It's unbelievable. So he gets on a plane, he's flying to Texas with like a couple of cousins.
Were the servers moved in 6 days?
While he was flying to Texas, and they had just left this meeting, his 2 cousins and him said, the cousin goes, why don't we just go move the servers? It was Christmas. This is like Christmas. So Elon turns around the Gulf Stream, flies back to Sacramento. They go into the server room, they lift the floor, right? Cut the wires and take the server out. They did it in 2 hours.
Wow.
Right? That's what it's like to be a leader. That's how I feel and have felt. I have to navigate through everyone else's low expectations of who they think they are. The average standard for a human being is so low. It's unbelievable. And what's possible is like the Sahara Desert, and they're operating as if they're a pebble of sand in the desert. That's what blows me away. I even listen to him talk about me. I'm like, why can't I be successful in 17 industries? Why can't I start over 32 companies and exit, 5 times? It's been more now, but why not? You can. And then I juxtapose it to positions such as like Apple will buy a company every 3 weeks. Bill Gates owns hundreds of companies. Apple owns hundreds of companies. Any billionaire owns anywhere from 2 to 4 to 600 companies. Trump owns, I think, over 400 companies, right? The only one that's like kind of slow on the buying companies is Warren Buffett. He's only made like 22 decisions in his whole life, basically. And I think he has like 67 companies. And his model is the dumbest, easiest model ever. It's so crazy how easy it is.
Fair enough. So somebody might be saying, as you're saying all this, I'm being challenged. It's like blah, blah, blah. I'm in the dumps. I just failed at this, etc. Take us back to 2008. That was a moment when you lost everything and collapsed.
Yeah. So 2008.
Where were you then? And so we know the origin of opportunity, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it even goes back further to one of my first blowups, but that particular one was an amazing one because I had peaked out at well over $100 and some odd million. And I mean, it looked great on paper. It was paper equity, right? And overnight, we had a deflationary collapse in the market. We didn't have a recession. We had a deflationary collapse because the banking system failed us.
But did you have equity in a public company, or what was it?
They were all my own. I had
it was your
subdivisions, real estate, houses. Like so one of the hats I wear as a developer. So I would, as a developer, I had a construction company, real estate brokerage, had real estate projects. I was building subdivisions where I tore down whole neighborhoods and I was rebuilding them. I had restaurants, nightclubs and the banks were failing. So the banks weren't finishing funding, and I had to pay subcontractors that had done work, and the projects weren't done, and the banks failed. And they handed all that paper over to the FDIC, and the FDIC didn't fund another dime on those projects. So some of them were like 95% complete. They were like, all I had to do was put asphalt down on, and it would be done. And nobody would act either. Nobody would buy all the purchases because everything I had was sold. But the buyers pulled out too. They didn't want to close. So here I have a situation where 95% done. I could put the asphalt in, but then now I don't have a buyer. So the good thing is, at that time I was running more than 14 companies. So real estate development, construction were only part of my cash flow. I had dealerships, I had a finance company, insurance company, I had a banquet facility that I sold, I had a debt purchasing company, collection agency, I had a bunch of companies. There were 14 of them in all. Legal suites, all kinds of stuff, right? So even though one industry was gone, like I just lost my arm, I still had the rest of my body. And it's how my investment thesis is with Dragons and Angels. It's how I look at everything now is, about diversifying both in the credit market. I'm a shadow banker as well. At Capital Velocity, we do, 10 different business loans, and then we do real estate loans, fix and flip, ground up, and rentals.
So excuse me, what's a shadow banker for those of us that don't know?
So private credit or shadow banking is like, for example, I don't ask for tax returns. I don't need bank statements. If you have a 680 credit score, we're a little bit more than a bank, and we write our own paper. We have a credit line on Wall Street, and we just write the paper and then sell it off to Wall Street. So before, everything went really through banks. And we've actually grown now to the point where shadow bankers like myself are actually producing more private credit than banks are.
Oh, wow.
Because the banks, we already secure the asset, we balance sheet it, and then we're able to sell it off on the market. So it's fun. So, like rental portfolios or rentals, and we've made it at Capital Velocity, so that, a mom and pop person can get going. If you have a 680 credit score, and you've got, you can buy a rental or fix and flip a property. So we're seeing stuff that we're flipping in San Francisco. They're making $1 million to $2 million a flip. I mean, these are life-changing things, and it's really fun to write the paper and talk them through the process of how you get the money, So without all the 3 months of dealing with the bank or your tax return or any of this stuff. And part of the reason I got into being a banker is that it was so hard to get through the banks because they didn't even know what they can lend on. I did decode the whole banking system, which is another hour-long episode about how the banking system works, because I know it backwards and forwards. Their balance sheets, their income statements, how to read their statements, how to figure out if a bank can lend to you or not. There are a lot of banks that can't lend to you, but they won't tell you that because it's called steering. That when you come in, they have to take the application and pretend like they'll do your loan, even though they can't.
So all you have to do to get one of these loans is have enough equity in some sort of deal to be able to.
Yeah, like a fix and flip. You can get up to 80-90% loan to value, loan to cost, right? And then we'll fund the construction to finish it. And then you could exit to yourself and create a rental property, which is cash flowing. Or you can sell it and just pocket the cash. So I like to keep property. I don't like to sell it myself personally. I'd rather fix it and flip it to myself and keep the cash flow and get the write-off, because you get appreciation, you get the depreciation, which you can write directly off of your taxes, which is incredible. And this is not financial advice, by the way. I don't want his channel to be affected. Talking about finances. So this, do the research and hire a professional finance person. And I don't know what YouTube is like, another story. So
Thank you for that. We'll dive into that into a little bit. I want to get back when you got.
I don't want you to be harmful and dangerous, because a guy who knows banking, who has had 6 regulated licenses, who has a banking license, a real estate, a broker's license, and has done 1,654 SBA loans with his own hands, and packages loans for a living, and does, obviously, that's the person you want to terminate off YouTube.
Thank you for your consideration, man. And we'll dive into that. I do want to go into that, man, because your story is fascinating. It's ever evolving. These are parts I knew a lot.
My life. Always interesting.
But there's a whole new chapter, man, that we have to dive into.
Just show up. You're like, huh? You what?
So, okay, man. So you lost your arm.
Yeah.
The debacle on.
So the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
the great thing about that is normally, because I've been all in other industries before and had them collapse. And this time I had blood flowing through my arteries. Like if you stop the blood flow in your arm, eventually you won't feel your arm and then you can't move your arm, right? Mm-hmm. So even though I had less blood flow, because I had all these projects and subdivisions and houses and restaurants and everything that were stuck in limbo, I still had people who were still getting married in the banquet facility. People who were still having bar mitzvahs, right? People were still doing their thing in life. It was one industry that had collapsed. People were still buying cars. And then at the dealerships, people showed up that were incredible customers that paid their bills that had no credit. So I started funding their cars. So here I got somebody that has a great job that's not paying their mortgage. So I know their story. I'm able to fund their Mercedes, their BMW. I did all luxury type cars for them. So I had a whole portfolio on the road making 15% on good paying people that had good jobs, and I could see their paychecks. So I underwrote all that stuff, even got my own separate credit line to be able to do pretty much unlimited funding that I was guaranteeing it, but I was passing that off to do that. And then I opened up an insurance company to cover all the insurance, and then a warranty company for that as well. So all that was providing so much cash flow to be able to keep all the projects I had going. So I put fences around them. I went $12.8 million total in debt, and I got everybody paid back. So all those banks, not one of them really took I figured they were partners, even though they had kind of left me hanging. I had a responsibility to take care of my responsibilities, so I did. Today I've got an 850 credit score. You can't get better.
Wow.
So, and I have 32 different business profiles for business credit in the millions.
And you were able,
which is a whole nother thing that's on YouTube, and this is not credit advice, but I've taught thousands of people, and I've gotten people over $1 billion of money.
Oh, wow.
Like, that they don't have to pay back, but yeah.
Okay. Let's get a little more vanilla.
Yeah.
Before we go,
before it gets too complicated.
Yes.
I only do complicated, I guess.
What role did Vegas play in this reinvention? Why Vegas as the headquarters?
California is, I love California. And I have a place in Cathedral Hill. But having, the competitive landscape for a lot, it wasn't, you were tearing down stuff to rebuild them. You weren't building, like Nevada there was just dirt. So if you had an idea, you could just build it. And you could start a business because a business was needed there. In San Francisco and in the Bay Area, didn't really need new businesses necessarily, right? There wasn't of course you needed development, but it was so much harder. Dealing with the franchise tax board, dealing with the politics in California. I had a different agency every week in my business and going through everything. And it felt so restrictive. If you're an entrepreneur in California, when in the 90s, you felt like a criminal, like you were doing something wrong, right? I don't know if it's the same way now because all my entities are in Nevada, and we make sure we're here. But I don't know if it's the same way in California. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But there's definitely kind of you can drive people out of a state by thinking. Look at Texas. Texas is exploding. Florida is exploding. If you strangle a business to where you can barely operate, because most businesses operate with about an 8 to 10% net at the end of the day. In the auto business, you're looking at about 3 to 4% net from the top line down. So it's not like you make a lot. And when you have government entities trying to strangle you and extort you for money, there's not a lot there. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're gambling whether you're going to make money or not. Like every time somebody opens a business, you have partnerships that could blow up, which we can talk about. The latest one, if you want to talk about that, we have lawsuits that can happen, liability, anything can happen. There's a autonomous car company in San Francisco that killed somebody, and that's horrible. But the whole company is gone now. I mean, your business can evaporate overnight. You have a construction company and a couple of people die and it blows through your limits. You built the company, it's gone. Your whole company is gone. Everything you worked for, 10, 20 years, it just disappears.
So, and that's more so in California and
well, that liability is really
then here.
everywhere in the country.
Oh, okay.
You can't get, I mean, it just kills the company. There are structures that you can set up to, mitigate some of that liability. Operating companies, holding companies. Again, I'm not giving legal advice, but there's lots of different structures that you can set up to where you can actually preserve wealth.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the YouTube issue, because you create an amazing and big YouTube channel. I took a lot of advice from it, at least for small credit stuff and other things, like borrowing from your company, and there's so many other. Yeah, I did take several things from there.
Yeah, I go into a room, about 10% of the people usually know me, which is kind of cool.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
So, what made you start that platform? I know you went and put your heart and soul in it. There was like close to 4,000 videos and all that. So I'll let you take the stage on that. I
had watched like all, YouTube and some of the information that was coming across there. And there was so much misinformation and so many people that you could tell that were just really bad deals and bad information. And I felt like I really wanted to share everything I'd been through. The ups and downs, the losses, really live out loud and be able to be there for people to understand what it takes to become successful and how you can end up failing. So, because I've eaten more failure in my life than probably anybody's ever stomached, But in order to get to the success you want, you've got to eat a lot of failure. You got to make a lot of mistakes. In 2018, I made a commitment, and I said, I had hired an editor, and an editor was doing it. I saw Casey. I go, I guess you get popular by doing vlogs. I'm like, I'm not a vlogger. This doesn't. Like, business is what, being able to handle people's personal finance, their business finance, being able to make intelligent decisions that will help them come up in life was really, and people that have nothing. So when I started the channel, I said, okay, how do I take people from buckets to Bentleys, that are homeless to billionaires? That's the channel that I want. So I really started focusing on, because we had gotten in this household a little over $200 million to help fix housing in 2011, I think it was, something like that, 2010.
What do you mean $200 million to help fix housing?
Through HUD and through the government in grant money. We got...
to help fix your house, or you
fix housing in Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah.
In
general.
Got it.
So we were rewriting mortgages and helping people getting rid of their negative equity. And total for the whole thing, I think Hannah got paid maybe $150,000. That was it. It's not like we made any more money than that, but it felt good to teach people about grants. And I started talking about, all the different sources that people could get to get government support. And then lending's my thing. If you really want to excel in success, you need to be able to leverage money. So I've studied banking since I was 15 years old. I'd underwritten loans, packaged them, became an underwriter in 2012 for the SBA as far as packaging and putting everything together. So I'm like, I want to really do this. And my editor wanted to move to California to become a nurse and be with his family. And so I learned how to edit. So I was scripting, writing all my stuff, my ideas down, filming, editing, and posting 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And I love it. I love it. I feel like I'm like somebody just took me out, like literally whacked me. Like I've been My digital identity has been completely destroyed as a result of a cyber stalker that engaged a database and 22,000 people to attack my channel. So I had a cyber bully that used AI, and AI that my wife helped build, right? Gemini. She actually helped Gemini build it. Gemini, with its AI, thought my channel was bad, so they terminated my channel, and nobody's looked at it. Nobody at YouTube has bothered to even look at it.
So it was an actual attack. It was not. I thought the context was that you were like posting really good content or content that
If I wanted to take down your channel, I could do it tomorrow.
Okay.
All I have to do is hit it, and the AI will start to scrutinize your channel.
So here would what, negative comments or?
There are keywords. I really don't want to tell people how to kill people's channels, but I know exactly the formula to kill your channel.
Oh, wow.
What keywords to use that Gemini is actually looking for. If you block certain people.
Is it in the content or is it in, I don't get it. Like,
or is it like the comments,
in-house of service?
the comments, the reporting, and the blocking, right? And the SEO, because, Google is a monopoly, right? You have Chrome. They have the two top search engines in the world, which people go to. Those two, Chrome, YouTube, and, Google.
And now Gemini.
So they really own our digital lives. It's funny because I was up in Washington. I met with about 16 different senators and a bunch of Congress people, another 10 or 15 Congress people, about some of the platform problems. But under the Decency Act, 230, the platforms have no liability at all on anything. They're completely, they don't have to moderate. They can cancel you for any reason.
And that's what you sign off in the terms of service. Like, you don't even read, right?
You don't even read. There are 1.6 on average million channels deleted a month.
Wow.
There was 1 month, I think it was 10 million channels were deleted. And right now, AI is doing majority of the work. There's only like 500 staff or whatever people for YouTube that actually, they don't have time to review any of these channels, and they don't care. They just don't care at all. So I had 40 people that were contractors and employees that made a living off of my channel. They're all gone. They're all completely gone now. That room over there at the theater office was full of people. There's over $200,000 in equipment here that I bought to be able to film for YouTube. And my first check for YouTube was $3.03.
Wow.
That was after I made almost 300, 400 videos for them. Edited them, posted them, worked my butt off, studied the algorithm. Like daily for 7 years, I studied the algorithm, keywords, how it just everything that it takes to become successful in social media or on YouTube specifically.
I remember you telling me that you would look at the graph and see exactly like the exact millisecond of cutoff, and then like analyzed it and changed your words whenever you came to a point like that.
Exactly. Or if I put in
hooks or your
B story, and if I used a certain B story that people just reacted to and didn't like, then I would change it. And you could start to look when you put B-roll in there, where people would jump off. And then you could see where people would stay in, where people would spike, rewind and listen to things, where you would lose people, and then how to place your ads, and then your keywords, like all the stuff to use in your conversation to bake in. The biggest life to me, I have 17 years of metadata. I've built intellectual property that I poured into YouTube, that I shared on every other platform. I shared it on Medium. I didn't natively post it. I shared it on LinkedIn. I didn't natively post it. I wanted all the attention to go back to YouTube because I felt like YouTube's taking care of me. I'm going to take care of YouTube. So you can go to LinkedIn and you'll find 3,000 broken links to YouTube videos. And when you hit it, it said content removed.
Oh, wow.
They removed me for harmful and dangerous. Yeah, that's the thing. Harmful. I'm like, what? I ran my entire script through the internal with a company employee the internal Gemini, there was nothing wrong with my script. The thumbnail, I checked it. There is nothing wrong with the videos that they hit. Nothing.
But you know what? I think
But it doesn't matter.
yeah, and
Doesn't
there's a
matter.
glimmer of hope though. It might take 10 years or so. Like there's two channels that I saw that just got reinstated that were super controversial. One was London Real.
He specifically violated the guidelines
And the other one
on
is-
purpose.
And the other one's David Icke. Those
They purposefully, like literally, like
so those guys are back. So you have a hope, right?
it's mind-boggling to when I show they gave him his whole channel back, 2.2 million people, and I looked at that and I went, he's specific. Like I didn't say certain words on YouTube that I couldn't say. I have been obeying like a beaten dog. I think of my experience on the YouTube journey is like a beaten dog because of how they censor us so bad, right? In order to get pushed out there into the medium. Like literally a stray beaten dog that has been through 4 or 5 homes beaten to death. When you get on the mic to talk into a camera, who you have to be for the algorithm, for YouTube, for the censorship. It is sad that there's no real First Amendment anywhere that you can be on. There's Odyssey, which are on the blockchain forever, but nobody watches that, right? And their discovery algorithm sucks, and Rumble's discovery algorithm sucks, and X should be YouTube, but I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah,
you know. So
I mean, that's just the world we live in. I have in my
and it's going to get worse.
In my profession, which is advertising, I just know, we are behest to these two giants, which are Meta and Google.
Yes.
And that's where people are, right? I cannot go and advertise on Rumble successfully, X or any other platform.
Yeah.
I have to go and do it on Google and YouTube and play on Google and Meta and play their game.
Yep.
And
AI is going to be, think about this. I was making $100,000 a month off my YouTube channel.
Wow.
So they destroyed my
is that direct revenue or
direct revenue was about $500,000
okay,
from AdSense.
from AdSense and then from courses,
All the courses and stuff like that.
benefit or promoting your products and all that.
Yeah. Overall, I built other companies with it, but some of those companies have lost 98% of their revenue as a result of being gone, which now my focus is, maybe by the time this podcast comes out, you'll hear about it. I'll be suing all the cyber bullies that took down my channel.
Oh, wow.
That reported my channel, that were part of the groups that attacked my channel. Because the cool thing is, I have in the hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. So we're evaluating all that damage and what's happened, opportunity cost, and putting that together so that we can file the lawsuit. And then we're going to, there's 22,000 people that were part of the attack on my channel. There's a database that is there. So, the plan is through that process, we'll uncover every single person who reported my channel and then also take a look at what they said and then match that up to reality. So the cool thing is I have already evidence that is completely caves them in. And one of my cyber stalkers tried to get me for $50,000. The second the cyber stalker tried to extort me for $250,000 and said all this would go away if you pay me $250,000. And that'll be in the lawsuit that people can read.
I'm flabbergasted. What is a cyber stalker? And why would you get a cyber stalker?
Well, so 2 years and a month or something like that. You can make fake accounts I can make a fake account about you tomorrow. Put your picture and then put your name, and then I can search your name and you'll come up. In fact, if you pull mine up right now, you'll see 4 or 5 different impersonations of me with my videos that they've gotten from my other social media, right? Well, one of those impersonators, she paid, I guess. I haven't seen any evidence that she actually paid him. But she went from that to a full campaign attacking me. She knows it's not me. She's turned me into the SEC. Attorney General, the governor, the FBI, and the SEC, which I'm registered with my fund. So she's used, and the banking division, which the banking division came out and did an inspection on me too.
No way.
Yes. So they first came out with a fine and of how much it was going to cost me. And then when I went back to them and said, here's the reality, they dropped all the fines.
So is it when you achieve a certain level of success?
Oh, and Tuesday, she just sent in more stuff to the FBI this Tuesday.
So why do people that achieve a certain level of success and have a motive to help others get attacked so hard?
Envy and jealousy. It's you lose so many friends. The more successful you get, you will lose so many friends because those friends start to measure up against you in how they're doing in life. And if they're not doing as well as you, they feel bad, and then they start to attack you. I've had so many people flip on me that I love till this day. I don't not love them. I've done nothing wrong to them. I don't have any problem with them, but they hate me just because I'm successful. And I just outwork everybody.
I have seen.
You know, this morning I just submitted $8 million worth of stuff this morning. And then, what was it? Thursday, I won a judgment for $3.5 million. So, and that's been 5 years of fighting. I've fought billionaires in court. I've fought counties. I'm like, they haven't been through what I've been through. So they could sit back and just go, man, I'm so glad I didn't go through what he went through to get what he's got. Because it ain't been easy. But you can't, it's so weird. How people just flip. And, the 7 deadly sins, envy and rage, it's real. It's like super real. And jealousy.
Great wisdom always comes in simple frameworks, right?
Yeah.
And we just give them.
So simple.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be around people because, when they mix it and get envious. And the crazy thing is, I'm just so happy to share what I went through. I paid $43 million in real cash for my education. I've been in so much litigation, and my back end, you could drive a train through it. It's been torn apart. Being PC, right? I've been through so much pain and swallowed so much failure that I'm willing to give it away for free. I'll teach you about business credit. I'll tell you about regular credit, like real estate, how to structure it, how to build. If you want an empire, I'll show you how to do it, and not tell you how to invest in a project that makes and asks for money from you that makes 3% and tell you that somehow you're going to make 15% a year annualized income. I don't even know how that's possible. I didn't understand how that was possible before. I won't say anybody's name, but I feel for people that have invested. If you have a stabilized asset, it's perfect, it's beautiful, and people are paying regular rent, and that property, which friends of mine sold these properties, and the income that comes off of that, you hear a word called cap rate, and the cap rate is 2.75 or 3.75, 3.75, and the person that's setting up the syndication does interest only and doesn't pay down the debt, and they're telling you that somehow you're going to get a 15% or 20% return? Really? That's what I had to sell against on YouTube, right? Or even ties deals. I'm like, I can't compete with would never tell people they're going to make that much money. Like, it's just the reality of what the effective return of something is
very different than the hype.
I can't, it's so hard in a noisy world like this right now to put the truth out there because there's so many imposters and people willing to lie to you and use legal language to hide the truth from you because you're not going to read the 100 pages of documents that, and I just feel for people. So my thing is I want to teach, and YouTube took that ability, took my voice away and destroyed my digital identity. I built everything, my whole platform on YouTube.
That really sucks, but the actual mission is to help 1 million people become financially free.
Completely.
Is that still standing? And
Oh,
does that
100%.
involve-
It's just going to be really slow without YouTube.
Yeah, how is it going
It's going to be slow.
Okay.
So I get right now, though, it's going to be a field day for imposters and people that want to, scam people out of money just to get, sell the next course. So I you can look at the history, of people. Look at what's their real core competency. It's,
Being an influencer.
yeah.
That's the core
It's so amazing. It's like a superpower, being an influencer. And you watch, it's really sad that people, because my thing is believe the truth over the authority. I believe the truth. There's no influencer that can influence me away from the truth. I don't believe in authorities. I believe in the truth. And I only answer to one person. So.
Awesome. Let's get into the rapid fire, okay?
Yeah. Fire away.
One business you'd never touch.
The car business. I shouldn't say that because it'll probably happen.
They take me out. They pull me back there.
They pulled me back in. Yeah. I'm good at it. I know everything about it. So package thousands and thousands of loans and securitized assets. And
So
bad thing is I know it.
wealth, I think Trump said it's in the DNA. Do you think it's a learned skill or a personality trait?
That's been a personal debate, interpersonally with me that I've been fighting with myself for a very long time. And I've heard other people talk about it. And I desperately try and teach people. And some people, it clicks. And they become millionaires, multimillionaires. My assistant is a multimillionaire, just retired her husband. She worked with me for 8 years. She learned everything. She gives me all the credit, which I love. She gets on it. I love, you did it. You taught me everything. I'm like, yeah, I wish she was still my assistant. But, we could have built even bigger stuff together. She's amazing. Vanessa Smith is her name. She's and she lives on a lake right now in a huge, ridiculous house and has tons of property. And she's kicking butt, and I'm so proud of her. I have friends that have done incredibly well with licensing agreements. I taught them about licensing and how to get control of products, and they became multimillionaires. And those, and people come up to me crying on the streets. I went to a restaurant out of town, and there's a whole family of people that one guy that speaks Farsi said that, I don't know if I said that right, but they were all looking at me, and he came over and he goes, you saved everyone's business in that table and everybody in their community with the information that you did. I translated everything you said, and you saved all these people's businesses.
Wow.
And I was sitting with another friend of mine. He's worth like 200 million. He's super cool, has all the cool stuff. And to me, there's nothing cooler. I don't care about Louis Vuitton. I don't care about Gucci. I don't care about anything. I don't even care about the house or any of this stuff. That to me is my Louis Vuitton.
That's a life worth living, man.
Yeah, to see that. And what's crazy is I can't accept it. I'm I run away. Oh no, you did. Yeah, run for the hills, but go off in my corner and soak it in myself. But it's hard to really get that recognition, except because we live in a cold, cynical world, right? It's so cold and cynical, and people are together alone. They don't even talk to each other. They have to be in a podcast to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be alone together.
Breaking the fifth wall, the sixth wall here.
Yeah. Should we be alone together? Let's see.
Oh my God.
Let's be alone together. How you doing? Yeah. It's good to see you.
So other than having a goat stomach for failure, what's your biggest advantage as an entrepreneur?
I love studying. I study every single day. I'm coding a bunch of stuff over there on the screen.
Oh, wow.
So building workflows and automating and AI. So I'm chairman of the board on a company that's got a full legal back-end structure for practice management, and it's amazing. It gives attorneys 2.9 hours of their day back every day. Wow. It's super efficient. It's unbelievable. And then I'm putting real estate on the blockchain, which I'm super excited about. It's the product I want. I want clear, transparent. It's called Beeline it. And I want to be able to just buy real estate anywhere in the country, not have to go through a scumbag or a scammer. I don't want someone else in control of my asset. I want to know that I bought a piece of that asset. I get all the benefits of that asset. I get the deductions, I get the cash flow, and it's on an NFT, and it is completely securitized, and everything is transparent, because the worst thing you can do is have to trust people. And most of the stuff that I'm building is stuff that requires no trust. The Beeline It company is about being a zero trust, where you don't have to have, you don't have to trust anything. As soon as I have to trust somebody, there's a flaw in the system. Everything runs through the blockchain. Everything's securitized. That way you can go to sleep at night, because I'm telling you, like my partner, just the lawsuit last week, I got a $3.5 million judgment. I gave him a $6 million a year business that was 15 years old. I gave him half the company for free because I just didn't want to go there. I didn't like going. I only went there like once every couple of weeks, but I just didn't like going. So I gave him 50%. I just run the business. I don't need the money. I just don't want to go. I got all these other things I want to do. Create other companies. I like creating them. I don't like running them after they're going in gold. Like, let somebody else do that, right? I like to go to the next problem and figure out the solution, right? So, but yeah, he decided to embezzle. It's all public record now, so I can say it. Without it being like this cyberbully that's going to have to prove all the stuff that's been claimed by all these cyberbullies, which is going to be fun to watch. I'm even thinking about, I have attorneys that want to file it. I'm thinking about filing the case pro se and representing myself, just because, and having it all filmed and doing a documentary on it and completely document everything, the whole legal process, when we subpoena from Facebook and YouTube, what they do, spill all their correspondence, everything that's said, just make it all public record. Just live a whole case out loud. With AI in the mix, with the cyber stalker, with all the platforms and the politicians that I have that are mixed in it. I made sure to entangle both Republicans and Democrats into this. I went and saw every single one of them and had them reach out to YouTube to try and fix it.
I see that as
even the FCC.
At least 6 episodes on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 12 episodes and just really pump it out, full crew. But just to really expose the legal process, really expose cyberbullying, because it's just not okay. People's digital identity today matters. People are taking their own lives.
Over 500 followers, right?
Yeah, if I had been younger, YouTube taking my channel, I would have taken my life. Jeez. The worst experience I've ever had. I've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. I've lost companies. I've lost people. This has been the worst experience of my life. YouTube taking my channel down after all I poured into it, loving it and pouring my heart out, teaching people how to get free money, how to get loans, how to fix your credit, how to get business credit, stuff that nobody teaches. Nobody teaches this stuff because they haven't done it. I have boxes of credit cards and binders full of credit cards, and I've done this stuff and I know how it works. I know how the back end works. So I know the wizard behind the scenes that you don't see, that they won't tell you the truth. Banks won't tell you the truth at all. They can't legally. They legally can't tell you the truth. Underwriters can't teach you how to do a deal. It's not legal. Do you know it's not legal for them?
No.
It is not legal at all. They can't coach you because if you get a loan and they help coach you to get the loan, they become liable.
It's their fault if you don't pay, right?
Yes. And if they don't take your application, they steered you. Can't steer people. And then all the other reasons that could be that you rejected based on a plethora of drama about what can happen if you don't accept somebody's application. They are scared to death. And they know they have the golden license. They print money. They create money out of thin air. It's fake. Completely fake money. They can press a button. I can press a button to make a loan. I only need 10 or 20% of your money, and I can create the other 80%. That's insane. You press a button and you create 80% of the money, 90% of the money. In a bank, I only have to have 10% reserves according to the Basel Act. That means I get to create the other 90. And I don't even have to have it. I go to the Fed window and go, hey, spot me. And they charge me an overnight to balance my books, because every night, every bank in the entire country has to balance their books. In fact, banks pay me to use my money. My money every night floats across. It gets swapped. It's called the swap. Mm-hmm. They swap my money, basically sweep it. They use it to balance their books. Banks use my money to balance their books, and they pay me a piece for that.
A very little interest rate.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, 4%, something like that. 4 or 5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that I have you here, I want to tap on your wisdom for our listeners.
Sure.
And I'm going to make you the basic question. For someone listening right now that wants to get started in the path to wealth and success, mm-hmm. What's the simplest starting path?
The simplest entrance point is what you know. Start with that kind of what you know as a basis. That is such a general and broad conversation, because things are, 3 years ago, there wasn't a thing called, generative, search engine, engine optimization that had to do with figuring out, what is going to show up in ChatGPT, what's going to show up in Claude, and what's going to show up in Gemini. There's whole companies now that are being created within weeks that are worth $40 million that I'm seeing in San Francisco. We're creating AI companies right and left. A legal tech company didn't exist before is worth $4 billion today after a couple of years. And we're getting ready to blow them out of the water. We have a much better solution than the industry leader, because they have legacy issues. If you started an AI company 3 years, do you know you have legacy issues? I say that, and they crack up if they know it's true. Mm-hmm. Because AI has moved into agentic workflows. It's worked into different types of arenas. There's deterministic, different graphs that you can layer over it. There's trust layers. There's even now AI, which is incredible right now, people are giving AI the ability to manipulate their computers. Now you can ingest hacker stuff. So you're ingesting actual viruses into your computer, but because an AI doesn't know the difference when it reads a screen, right? This is an opportunity tomorrow. If you figure this out, you'll make $100 million or $1 billion off of this one problem. When AI screens a website, it's just like you could look at a website that's completely a white screen. You could have a full virus coded into that screen, and that virus we don't see it, but the AI is actually going to read it because it reads code. It doesn't read the screen.
Okay.
Right? So it's reading the code. You can, by giving it the tool, and they haven't really figured it out, and all the different platforms right now just say it's operating normal. But it's ingesting your data into its data set too. So when you connect through MCPs, or you connect your different data points, like your emails, like if you connect your emails to it, and it presses the button that is a phishing email, then that's going to pull into your computer, right? So if you use platforms, Perplexity and Comment and stuff like that, and they're going to hate me for saying that because I'm up in their offices at least twice a week with all these AI companies, Anthropic and stuff like that. I mean, AI is a huge problem. There is so much scary stuff when you start looking at what's happening.
So what you're saying is that right now people are encoding viruses into websites, and AI is just eating it up.
It screens it.
And then it's affecting the way it operates because of that malicious code.
That, and the other thing is ingestion. So if ingestion, think of it like eating, right? So when you're hooking up to an LLM, it's ingesting what you're putting there. And if you allow it to train on your data, it's now in that world, right? Because data is the gold. The problem with AI is it needs more data.
Okay.
Right? It needs lots of data, right? And right now it has everything that's pretty much on the internet and posted, right? It hasn't generated its own data. That would be called a hallucination, right? If it generates something that isn't true, right? But the funny thing is, almost everything that's generated was generated by us. And I would say there are a lot of people that when I read their stuff, it sounds like they're hallucinating.
That's true.
And then it becomes reality if it's on the internet because it's written.
That's on the internet, yeah.
And then they train on it. And so, because we have to deal with a lot of hallucinations. We have a trust layer that if you look at it, it looks like a bunch of dots, right? And they're all interconnected, like your brain, like neurosynapses. And we watch the AI model in our legal system. And we can see there'll be a line from one point to another point. And there are like millions, if not billions of points that we're looking at. And we'll see a red line. And then we can pull that graph up and we can see the red line. The red line is when it invented something that isn't grounded in truth. So if it's not grounded in truth, it invented it. And then depending on the what it invented, how bad it is, it becomes either a red string that we click on it, we can look at what it invented, and then we could cut the string and fix it. And then also like there's yellow where it's kind of in the middle. But the idea is to get to a really deterministic. But the funny thing is when you look at even law, we have judges that interpret stuff that's supposedly clearly written in revised statutes or in case law that's supposed to be simple, but we still spend 5 years arguing about something that's already case law and already revised statutes. And you have to debate it. And if you look at a jury at the end of the day, they're confused about which way to even go, because if the attorneys do their job right, the argument is done so well that both sides are equally going, damn, this is a good game, right? They both make valid points. And when you look at that, what is the truth? What is the truth?
That was my next question. How do you use that? Well, that's the problem that you said you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
That's going.
So we ground it in truth by the data of cases and revised statutes and looking for where it invents stuff. But the other thing is, just because we're going to make your job ridiculously easy as an attorney doesn't mean you stop being an attorney. At least proofread it, right? Don't just take your stuff to court. Proofread it. But if we can give you back a week of your time, your client's going to love you and you can do more cases. And you could be more successful as an attorney. And you can take care of more people. And you can do the practice of the law by actually serving people with what you know about the law, rather than spending all your time doing clerical work. You know, a lot of attorneys bill for time they're not even supposed to because the systems are so broken. Everything's disconnected. We looked at it, we're like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like tech heaven because nothing connects right.
And you're putting those connections.
We're connecting all the dots.
So,
which is super fun. It's so exciting. I feel like a kid in a candy store with where we're at today.
You're always like a kid on always find a problem.
I was like, there's so many problems. This is great.
So then to go back to the original question, which is where would you start, or where would somebody start? Is you're probably saying AI right now in so many words.
Well, I mean,
find something to solve in the area.
I will tell you this: most successful I've ever been is when I'm passionate about something. And I'll tell you, so I started a bunch of companies. I always built companies based on how much money they'd make me. And and I was part of businesses that were hugely successful that I didn't even care about, right? And they made tons of money. And I just didn't care. And I remember I would go into a cell phone store back in 1986, 87. I'd go into every single cell phone store. I knew all the carriers. I knew their plans. I knew their technology, like TDMA, time division multiple access, CDMA, code division multiple access, GSM, global systems for mobile communications. I knew the A line, the B line, how to put up a cell tower. I knew the infrastructure. I knew where they sucked, where they didn't suck, because they all suck just differently. How do you want your suck was how, you right? Because I could see the maps and I studied it. And I just go in there just talking to people who own these stores. I'm like hugely successful with all these companies. I'm going to a cell phone store and I'm like admiring the cell phones and the owner of the cell phone store. I'm like, what am I doing? So then I opened a cell phone store. I got exclusive rights to cell phones here in Nevada, opened up 106 stores, and then opened up a bunch of retail stores, put cell towers up, started all kinds of, it just exploded. And it was fun. And every day I love teaching people about the networks. I love teaching people about how all the different technologies work and explain to customers about what best fit them. And it was exciting. But then it got commoditized. Then it was no longer fun. But the building of that was a lot of fun. So my point with that is this. What are you passionate about? I'm passionate about YouTube. I love YouTube. I love I love trying to figure out what's going to impact people, what's going to keep their attention, what do they want to hear, what do they need to hear? How do you make it compelling and interesting? What's the human condition there that you're dealing with? What are people confronting? Right? What's happening in their world? All that's fun. And I love diving in and I learn something every single day on YouTube. Now I can't watch it. It's so painful. It's literally painful for me to watch YouTube.
But you just started another one called The Reluctant Billionaire.
No, it's up. I don't touch it. I don't post anything. I am banned for life from YouTube.
So
I'm banned for life. Can't have a channel.
I was just watching you a couple of days ago.
It's all old stuff, and people come. I can't. What's called circumvention, so I can't do anything on YouTube. I'm done.
Okay.
Because of a cyber stalker. I read their policies. You cannot, once they cancel you, put up another channel. It's called circumvention, and then you're done. So I can't operate a channel of my own. Period. I am completely banned from YouTube for making a video about 6 boring businesses.
Wow.
6 boring businesses that went off of an industrial report that 10 other YouTubers that have the exact same content is up right now. 99% of what I covered in that industrial report is in those other videos.
That was the one that got cyber attacked and all that, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay. And it came off of a Cody Sanchez video that she did that did very well. She pulled an industry report, another guy pulled it, and a sponsor said, I want you to do that video. I go, well, it's already been done. They go, well, we want this one because it's getting so many views. So they gave me the script to do, and it was basically the same script. And it was hit for 6 boring businesses was hit for harmful and dangerous, that it's a scam, a pyramid scheme, a pyramid scheme. What? Scams? What? I don't what? And I ran it through, and nothing's there. There's no there. But once it tips you over, and AI wants to actually please you. So if you keep hitting the AI enough, if I said enough times to the AI stuff that is keywords within the algorithm, your channel wouldn't survive at all. And you wouldn't be able to get to YouTube to fix it because they don't care at all. There's not and I had 812,700 people when they terminated my channels. And they never even looked at my appeal.
You have a chance, Brad.
I don't have a chance. YouTube will never turn me on.
Well, okay. So then what's the next big...
I needed to actually violate the thing like Ike or London Reels, which I love him. I love them both. I mean, we're part of the community, right? So I love them, but I'm like, these guys specifically violated a policy that was put in front of them. He even had a special person at YouTube on the phone with him telling him not to do the material, and he still insisted on doing it. I wouldn't do that in a million years. I know YouTube is a rented platform. I know the difference between ownership, like beeline it and the blockchain and owning real estate on the blockchain or putting gold on the blockchain, which I did and sold, exited from, but I put gold on the blockchain, right? You own it, it's yours. Nobody can take it from you. So I know that, but all the platforms were renting. And you could be completely deleted tomorrow, and it could be done by one person that gets 22,000 people and lies to them.
Crazy. Well, given all that, and I know you have a stomach for failure, and I will consider that probably one of those, right?
What's that?
No, but whatever getting taken down.
Well, I think that, so I never know, this is kind of how I think about it. I never know where things are going. Like, I've been blessed.
It opens another door.
Yeah, so now I have a door to file $100 to $1 billion lawsuit. I have all the damages. I have been damaged, which is super cool, right? My digital identity has been destroyed. A lot of my footprint of metadata that I built over 17 years is gone. So I have a lot of damages, and I have 22,000 people that I can look at, and Facebook and YouTube's backend to analyze. I get an opportunity through the legal system and through pulling all this stuff to take a real look at AI and take a real look at cyberbullying and take a real look at what it's like to have a digital identity in 2025. I don't know what that looks like into the future, right? But from where I am now, I wake up every day and work from 4 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. So this just gives me something to do. It's a new something to do. But I'm still on X, which unfortunately doesn't matter. I'm still on LinkedIn, which unfortunately doesn't really matter. I'm on TikTok, which unfortunately really doesn't matter because that's not where people go to learn. And I'm a teacher. And I am like, teach what I know, not what I invented out of my rear end and hope somebody will buy because it sounds right. It's easier for an imposter to get you to believe in something than somebody who's actually done it.
Absolutely.
Because an imposter is going to tell you what you want to hear, not the truth.
Not what you need to hear.
So they can get your money.
And with that, Andrew, what is the single greatest lesson this whole journey you've shared with us taught you about life, money, and meaning?
I wrote it, my book is The Origin of Opportunity, right? And my editors ended up being all Christians. And there's about 12 people on the team at the publishing company. And they basically said I had written Ecclesiastes. And I told the guy he's actually a minister, I'm like, wow, that's cool. Because, I wrote a couple hundred pages. And if Ecclesiastic is like 30 pages or whatever, then I'm catching up, right? But what it taught me is that none of this matters. YouTube doesn't matter. This house doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. Like, it's all just like Solomon. Solomon had everything. All the women, all the money, everything. And it won't get you happy. You have to decide to be happy. And you can, even in my book, I talk about, this is the only space I really have, right? Is this piece of meat that I carry around with me everywhere I go, right? But when I'm in another state or another country, people don't know the house I'm in or the houses I have or this stuff. It doesn't matter. Or my bank account or anything. So I think the biggest thing that I've learned from all my failure is that the most important thing is people, relationships. I love people, love people. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're an absolute Vegas voice. We appreciate your wisdom.
Hope I'm a world voice. Yeah, I love everybody in the world, not just Vegas.
You're Vegas voices.
Okay, today we can go to San Francisco or Europe or Dubai.
Well, we got you here today.
Okay,
so.
all right. I know that's your show, so.
Yes.
No, Vegas is a good keyword.
Yeah.
It's a very good keyword. I was in flipping Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, and what do you call it? The biggest flip in Vegas. It's on A&E. It's around the whole, it's been on all kinds of networks. It's episode number 7, The Dream Home. You can see it, season 1.
Awesome.
But part of the reason they named it Flipping Vegas is because Vegas is such a searched word.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we did this show.
Smart.
It's my way, and it's my way of giving back. Vegas has given me everything, so it's my way of giving back to the city, and I love it. We've been having a lot of fun. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.